Football's a game of split-second decisions. And elite clubs spend millions trying to gain an edge. The players are faster than ever before, but
to be an athlete is not good enough.
To keep ahead of the game, some clubs have started looking beyond the body, to the brain.
The main aspects are certainly technical and mental more than physical.
So what's happening inside the brain when you play football? And could training it help win more games? Every movement a player makes on the pitch can now be tracked. The most advanced clubs collect around 1.4 million data sets each game. That's roughly 10 data points each second for every player. And all that data feeds into the training.
We're looking for those 1%, we're looking for what will give us marginal gains.
Until now, most of the tech was focused on how players move.
We're watching these athletes make decisions in split instincts under the highest pressures and the highest intensities. It made a lot of sense to go, well, neurologically or cognitively, there's something going on.
Holly is a professor, footballer, coach and football mum, researching the connections between neuroscience and football.
I brought one along.
She says that in football, players use most parts of their brain.
The occipital lobe, the parietal lobe, the motor cortex, prefrontal cortex, the amygdala. Although, people will think of me as an academic, I would argue that if I were playing football, I'd be using way more of my brain.
And what makes an elite footballer's brain? We got a clue back in 2014, when a group of Japanese scientists studied the brain of Brazilian football star Neymar. They found that his brain was a lot less active than that of his peers when he rotated his right ankle.
That reduction in activity in Neymar's cortex reflects that he has absolute expertise in moving his feet, and it's essentially done with very, very little conscious effort.
Basically, it suggests that Neymar's brain, after years of training, has been optimised to play as efficiently as possible. More than a decade later, thanks to emerging brain technology, clubs are taking a much deeper look at the brain, even exploring if a player's brain can be trained. Nottingham Forest FC Academy has been trying to do just that. The team uses a series of interactive games to assess their players' cognitive skills.
It's enabling us to have that insight into how our players' brains work, what are they really, really good at. So it might be processing information, it might be filtering, they might be exceptional at that. And then, where might they lack? They are just maybe slightly slower in their reaction times.
Trying to coach the way footballers think isn't new, but having this brain data allows them to be more targeted in their training.
What we're doing is trying to design sessions, but with cognition or neuroscience at the centre of it. So it could be something like they're not great at storing lots of information, so we're trying to overwhelm them. In a safe environment like training, that's where the development and improvement can happen to hopefully affect when they go out into games or cup competitions.
That training is also helping players deal with the pressure of the game.
A lot of performance is also driven by your emotional state. And that is something you can learn to control.
Holly says it's these two parts of the brain, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, that need to work together in a tight balancing act. Too many emotions can lead to a lack of precision and focus.
Ultimately, their performance would drop off as a result of that, being overwhelmed by the pressure and the environment they might be in.
Too much control and the brain can overthink, which will then slow you down. And that balance matters even more in game-changing moments, especially when dealing with a passionate crowd. Set pieces like penalties, corners and free kicks offer rare moments of stillness in a match. And it's those few seconds before the foot hits the ball that are the most crucial.
If you don't focus right in those moments and let's say mentally you're all over the place, then it becomes more difficult to have an accurate corner and to try to win the game. And when we talk about margins, those are the little margins that can make all the difference.
Nicholas, who's worked with clubs like Liverpool, measures players' brainwaves before free kicks and teaches them how to stay relaxed and laser focused before a corner or a penalty. This is what we generally call being in the zone, or flow state.
It's when you have these motor automatisms, when you don't overthink. It feels like you're mentally super clear, but physically you're relaxed at the same time.
The training aims to help players find that state every time they need it. Exactly how it works is an industry secret. But Nicholas says it's improved performance.
We found that it's 3 times more efficient to train direct free kicks with the brain data or the EEG neurofeedback compared to when you just normally train free kicks. When we have the window into the brain, that's when we start to make the invisible stuff visible.
Brain data isn't going to replace traditional coaching.
We're still utilising our physical, our psychological, our technical, our tactical, everything that goes into making a modern day footballer.
But neuroscience gives coaches more of a complete picture, top to bottom, of their players.
If we're developing all elements of a young athlete to the best of their potential, then hopefully we're giving them the best opportunity to be successful in the game.